This year's number one from the ACC against this year's number one from the Pac-10. They're going to go head-to-head in the second round in Jacksonville. Hey, how are you, folks? Jason Horowitz. Glad to be with you on the previews presented by State Farm alongside CBS College Sports' Steve Lappas and CBSSports.com's Gary Parrish. And let's start with the Golden Bears, Steve, because they're not the one seed here, but their win against Louisville was one of the most impressive wins of the first round.
Well, it's going to be a heck of a matchup between two really good perimeters, Randall, Christopher, and Robertson. Those three guys together last night. 59 points in this game, and they have pretty good size except for Randall. Randall's a little small, but this guy can shoot the ball from really deep, which obviously makes him a little bigger. One of the problems they're going to have in this game is how is Randall going to match up with Shire? Shire is a big guard who can shoot over Randall, and obviously stopping the Duke perimeter is going to be a big part of this game.
You know, you bring up John Shire, but overall, as a whole here, Gary, we talked last night as we were talking about Duke with Tom Pecora, who was sitting here on March Madness On Demand, and he said Kyle Singler's going to be the key to this team making any type of run to the Final Four. Is that your thoughts as well?
Yeah, I mean, Shire's going to do what he does, and he's been great this year, was in play for ACC Player of the Year, All-America honors. But Kyle Singler's still the guy on this team. They run a lot of stuff through him. He can step out and make shots. He can get work done around the basket, rebound the ball. I think Singler is a key. Coach talked about how is Jerome Randall going to be able to handle Shire. I'd flip that around a little bit. Remember, Duke last year at one point had to insert Elliot Williams into the lineup because they were having trouble guarding on the perimeter. Traditionally, in this tournament, little fast guards have been what given Duke problems. Jerome Randall's absolutely that.
And in last year's tournament, Villanova is a perfect example of how that happened. And then, of course, Dante Cunningham inside. But the inside play in this ball game has to go, at least advantage-wise, to Duke.
Well, you would think, Zubek and the Plumlee brothers at least have done a good job of getting rebounds and playing defense inside. And, Duke has changed the way they play defensively. Not putting as much pressure on people, concentrating more on picking people up at the three-point line and keeping them in front. Coach K wants the pressure, but he knows he doesn't have that kind of team, that kind of athleticism. Backed off a little bit, but in this game here, they're playing against a team that can shoot the ball.
All right, who wins the ball game, Gary?
I think Duke is still good enough to get through this. I mean, people like to pick against Duke because everybody hates Duke outside of Duke fans. But the reality is the reason they have this reputation of being good is because they're really good every year. They're in a bad year, they find themselves around the top 10. I didn't think they should get a 1 seed, but they did, and they're in that game. You go look at their resume. They didn't get to inferior teams too often this year. Probably won't do it this time either.
Well, this is probably stupid, but I'm going to take Cal, and I'll tell you why. I think Cal, in the preseason, they were ranked in the top 15. They lost Robertson early. He didn't play. Everybody forgot about them. Maybe they really are as good as everybody thought they were in the preseason, so I think they can do it.
They certainly looked like it against Louisville, and the Pac-10 in the first round was 2-0. We'll see if Cal can move on to the Sweet 16. For Steve Lappas and Gary Parrish, I'm Jason Horowitz. Take care, folks.